It was night when Avinash landed at Jamalam Airport. His heart was filled with joy at the thought of meeting his parents and brother after a long time. After getting a job in a company in Delhi and going to Kolkata about a year ago, Avinash could not come to Kolkata even once because he did not get any leave from the office. Finally, he came to Kolkata for a few days after getting leave for Kali Puja. He arrived in Kolkata on the afternoon flight the day before Kali Puja. His parents were very happy because he had parents in advance and they waited at home. As soon as he left the airport, Avinash called his father and told him, "Someone will be coming home in 3 or 4 hours in a taxi." As soon as he left the airport, Avinash saw that the taxi line was quite crowded. It was Kali Puja and by photo time, so everyone was returning home, so there was so much crowd. While looking around, Avinash saw an empty taxi standing far from the taxi stand. He thought it might be waiting for a passenger. He approached and asked, "Dada, did you book your taxi?" The man who was facing backwards looked at Avinash, and Avinash was startled because the man's eyes were not visible. There was no flesh on his body and his clothes were very old. The man said in a loud voice, "I am waiting for someone to get in my car today. I have been standing for a long time, but no one is getting in my old car." Avinash thought for a moment that the man's attitude was not good. The car also seemed very old. At that moment, he saw the line of cars, standing in that line, and it would be a long night to return home. Unable to wait to see his parents and brother, he got into that car and told them the address of the house. Hearing that he was going to his car, the man smiled crookedly, as if he had found something after waiting for a long time. Avinash did not pay much attention to that and got into the car. In a few words, Avinash knew the man's name was Sitish. Sitish suddenly said to Avinash, who he sat down with, "You know, today is Bhut Chaturdashi night." Avinash was a little surprised by such words and said, "What do I care if it is the night of Bhut Chaturdashi?" Sitish smiled slightly and said, "Tonight the doors of this world and the afterlife open, and the souls in that world get the opportunity to come to this world, and if they have any unfulfilled desires, they try to fulfill them." Sitesh's manner of speaking made Avinash feel quite uncomfortable. He stiffened himself a little and said to Sitesh, "Those people's fabricated stories about souls coming today, none of that happens." Sitesh only looked at Avinash once and didn't say anything. As the car moved a little further, Sitesh left the main road and started driving on an empty road. Avinash asked, "Where are you taking this from the main road?" Sitesh said, "Don't worry, I'm taking a shortcut. This way they will reach their house and see their parents and younger brother." Avinash was quite surprised to hear this. He had never told this Sitesh who was in his house, so how did he know? After reading it, he told himself that maybe he had mentioned the house while talking. Now he doesn't remember. After driving for a while, he came near a house and Sitesh stopped the car and said, "Sir, sit in the car for a while, I am coming from home." Saying this, Sitesh went inside the house. As soon as Avinash got into the car, he saw that Sitesh's house was small but quite beautiful. There were small lights and small lamps outside on the occasion of Kali Puja. After sitting for a long time, he was annoyed to see Sitesh coming from the house, because it was delaying his arrival at his own house. Avinash noticed one more thing. All the doors and windows of Sitesh's house were open, but there was no sound coming from the house. Avinash decided to go inside Sitesh's house and see why he was not coming yet. He would take the car from this side to that side. Avinash looked around and saw that there was no other house around Sitesh's house, only big trees and a graveyard. Avinash went inside the house calling Sitesh's name. As soon as he entered the house, Avinash was shocked. The house that was so beautifully decorated with lights and lamps from the outside, and the inside of that house was the same, spiderwebs everywhere, dust that had accumulated on things for a long time, and a strong smell that made the lunch that Avinash had made at noon seemed to be coming out as vomit. At that moment, the door through which Avinash had entered Sitesh's house suddenly closed with a sound. Now there was only darkness all around. This time Avinash had really started to be afraid. He took out his mobile from his pocket, turned on its torch and started calling Sitesh's name while walking from one side of the house to the other. As soon as the torchlight fell on one corner of the room, Ice chips flowed down Avanash's body, and he saw Setish standing in one corner of the room. Who is this Setish? His head was facing forward, but his body was facing backwards. There was nothing in his eyes except darkness. His legs were bent, and he had a sharp knife in his hand with dried blood on it. In that state, Setish said with a smile, I told you that on the night of Butch Chaturdashi, souls return to Earth, just like I return to this day every year. Avanash said tremblingly, Then did you bring me here on purpose? Setish says, Every year on the night of Butch Chaturdashi, I drink the blood of a living person, and if I drink the blood of 5 living people, I will receive the blessings of Satan and gain immortality. I have done this even before I died. Then I would bury the bloodless corpse in the ground. Even after dying in a car accident a few years ago, every year on the night of Butch Chaturdashi, I come back to Earth and bring someone like you to my house, slit their throat and drink their blood. Avanash's head is spinning now, but he still runs out the door.